So that is for the range A2, A2. Now, can we club quickly what we learned as from the input box and as the range? So we're going to ask where to put from the user and get where to put from the user and put it there, right there. All right. Now let's see. So I'm going to say dim str range as string. You should remember this line by now. Now I'm going to say str range is equal to input box into the cell address. Instead of just saying A2, I'm going to say it's str range. Now let's see what change is going to happen. I hit execute. Now it's asking me for where I have to put the output. Now let me give C5. I'm going to hit OK. Run and say the address. There you go. So here is the code. So you can change the code to whatever you want based on your needs. So you can get quickly the range or the cell directly here. You can ask for the column number, the row number, and then go ahead and use it, or you can use the range. The second option is, okay, how to do it using select. How to do using a select. Okay, that's going to be the third option. I'm going to comment this option here. I will uncomment this. Now let's run this. So I'm going to say application.goto. I'm asking the application to go to somewhere. Where? In the active sheet, go to the A3. Why I'm doing it here, you can also see that it's not case sensitive. I've not used in uppercase A. It's not case sensitive. And after I go there, I'm saying that is the active cell. Once I go there, it's the active cell, right? So once I go there, I'm saying put hello. So now let's execute it. And see A3 also gets hello. Very simple. Okay, the fourth option is, okay, now I am in worksheet 1. I am in worksheet 1, if you see. But I want to do something with sheet 2. How can I do it? So I'm asking the application to go to the worksheet with index 2. With index 2. With index 2. Now in that index, I'm asking to go to the range A4. And I'm asking it to put hello. I'm going to repeat. I'm currently in the worksheet with index 1. I'm asking Excel to go to the worksheet with the index 2. And in that index 2, in the cell with range A4, I'm asking it to put hello. Now let's see how this code here works. I executed it. Now look. You just saw there was nothing in the sheet 2. I'm going back to the sheet 1. Wherever I am. Okay, I'm in sheet 3. I'm going to execute it. Now let's go back to the Excel. You see, we are currently in sheet 2 because I've selected it and it's saying hello in the A4. Okay. The next option we're going to see. Okay, now what did we first see? We saw how to go to one particular cell using the cell and then using the range and activate another cell and go and put something there and then go to another sheet and then in that sheet go to a cell. Now we're going to go to another workbook For that, first I need the workbook book1.excel. I have to open it. I'm going to save it as book 2. I'm going to open book 1 also. Now book 1 is also open, book 2 is also open. Now I want to access something from the book 1. I want to put something to book 1. How can I do it? I want to put something to book 1. How can I do it? I want to execute this code. Okay. Please look at my projects window. Look at my project window. I have the book 1 and the book 2. Is it visible to all of you? I have the book 1 and the book 2. Now I have written the code in book 1. I have written the code in book 1. Correct? I have written the code in book 1. And you see, I saved it as book 2. Then it is shifted to book 2 here. I've opened the previous version of the same file, which is book 1. And now we are going to use the code here. Let's see. I'm going to uncomment option. This is called the editor tab. So you can use this editor toolbox for your editing purposes. This is for commenting the block. This is for uncommenting the block. I'm using this. So we'll uncomment this block. And you can see that I have, I'm asking you to open the book 1. And then in the book 1, I'm asking you to go to sheet 1. In the sheet, I'm asking you to go to A5. And then write hello. Now, if you look at the book 1 currently, in A5, it has 5. Now, I'm asking you to put hello. Alright, let's see how it works. I've executed the code. Let's go to book 1. Do you see it here? So access a different file. Access a different file and put values into that file. When will you use this? This option is really, really useful when you want to update another file based on the calculations of working you're doing it in the current file. Easily transfer the values to another file. Let's say you are working on a quotation. You're doing a calculation. Now at the end of the calculation, after you applied all the discounts and calculated the final value, you are having a summary and it's separately in another workbook. Now you want to put the value into that workbook very easily. You can write the code. After you finish your working, all you will have to do is write this piece. And then your summary book is auto-updated. So much for a single cell selection. Now we are going to go for multiple cells, which should make a real thing. So I want to select more than one cell. So I want to select values from A1 till B10. Then how do I do it? From A1 till B10. Okay. Now let me close book 1 here because I don't need it anymore. Okay. So I'm working with book 2. And if you see in the Project Explorer, the book 1 has gone. So after you keep opening your Excel worksheets, workbooks, it keeps getting added here. Okay. So now I have only my book 2. And then I'm saying select A1 to B10. I'm uncommenting it. Let's execute it. Let's go to the Excel worksheet. You see from A1 till B10. And do you see I've used dot in between? I've used dot in between. Say from A1 till B10. Now let's change it to colon and see what happens. I'm going to change the selection here. I've changed that to colon and let's see what happens now. I'm executing the code and there you go. Selected from A1 till B10. So you can either use a dot or you can use a colon, left to you. Either use a dot or you can use a colon, that's left to you. Alright. Now, okay, always we will not work with selection of range using the cell address. Maybe you have given a name. Maybe you have given a name for the range. I'm going to give a range name. Let's start from A1 till A10. How will you give name for a range? I'm going to formula. Say define a name. I'm going to name it sample because already I've written it there. Or maybe I can name it different one, VBA 1. Alright. So A1 till A10, I've named it VBA 1. Not allow me the numeric characters. Okay, day A. I'm going to name it day A. Alright, it's going to be day A. Now, how do I write the code for it? Now here, I will have to make it as day A, which would be my code. And I'm going to uncomment it. Now, if I go to my Excel, you can see I've not selected it. I'm somewhere in L column. Now, let's go and execute this. Here, back to my Excel. You see it selected my range, a named range, a named range. Alright. I'm going to give it a day B also. So how do I give it? I'm going to define the name here. Say it's day B. Okay, so day A and day B. So come out of the selection. Okay, this is something. So if you want to select multiple ranges of cell from your VBA, multiple ranges, you've already named them. If you want to select them all together, then you can use union. See here, you can use union. So I will have to make it as day A and then day B. Let's execute the code and hitting F5. Okay. So here it is. Oops, I know why this. Okay. So I give a name. I call it day A. Alright. And then I give the name. I call it day B. Okay. Now first let me check whether the code works for that. Day A, okay. Let's check for day B. Day B also fine. Okay. Now let's do the intersection part. Check it out. Should work here. Now look, the selection for day A and B together. Do you see the selecting? Okay, A and B. The mistake I did was I was in the sheet 1 coding. I've left to do it in the module. I was in the sheet 1. Okay. And whenever you do multiple ranges selection, a thing that you have to bear in the mind is all the ranges have to be in the same sheet. All the ranges have to be in the same sheet. I'm making myself very clear. If you use multiple range selection, all the ranges have to be in the same sheet. Otherwise, the range won't work. The range won't work. Okay. Now, just like union, you can also mark the intersection. So I'm going to make it for day A and B here. Okay. So let's comment this and uncomment the intersection. If you see, this is the only intersecting part of both the ranges. So I can choose to select the intersection. I can choose to select the union. So you can make the union and the intersection selected very easily by using range. So how do you do it? Application.intersect or application.union. Okay, here is another thing. Let's look at the code here. I have, let's say I just quickly fill the names of the month here. Okay. So I've quickly fill the name of the month here. Now I want to select, when I'm here, I want to select till the very end. How can I do it? How can I do it? Now, you see the code that I have written here. Okay, how do you do it generally when you are working in Excel? Does everyone know the shortcut key for the same? The shortcut key is Control Shift and down arrow. Control Shift and down arrow. But if you want to work further with the selection, let's say you are not just going to select in Excel, you want to work further with the selection, then you can use this code. Just have a look. I'm saying active sheet from the range A1, comma, till where? Till where? I'm saying in the active sheet, in the range A1, I'm saying end of where? Excel down. What is Excel down? That is equivalent to your control shift and down arrow. That is equivalent to your control shift and down arrow. So I'm saying starting from A1 till where? Till A1. If you press control shift down arrow, where till where the selection would go, till there. I'm saying select. Let's have a look. Okay. The next option is, okay, after the end, I want to go after the end and enter something. After the end and enter something. Then what do I do? In that case, what you will have to do is, you will have to say you want to go for an offset. Why offset? From the current value, go for an offset of 1, 0. 1 is the row and 0 is the column. That means after you reach the end of the selection of the range that you want to select, that means here it would mean that from A1 till A12. From A1 till A12. After that, offset the selection to 1 row and 0 column, which means A13. Alright? And put hello there. This might be your everyday need because you will have the selection, you will have the data. You want to reach the end of the data. At the end, you want to put some formula. So generally what do? We reach the end and then we go ahead and write the formula. Instead, you can quickly, if you are writing a macro already, so you can use this. Or if you want to add new values, you can do this. Okay. So, so far what we have seen is, we have seen how to write basic code and do different kind of selection of the cell. Now, once you've selected a range of cells, let's see how you can loop through the range of cells, or if you want to select only the rows or only the columns, how to work with the code there. Alright. So, now I'm saying that I'm giving an example for how you can do the value, how you can put the value. Let's make it 1 to 10. So, it's just putting things together. We saw what is a range. We saw what is a loop. Now we're going to put both together. I'm declaring an integer. And I'm saying that integer, the value from 1 till 10. From 1 till 10. And as I said here, I'm selecting the range. You see, I'm concatenating this x value with the range, which means at the beginning, it will be A1. When the loop executes for the second time, it will be A2. The third time, it will be A3, so on. I'm multiplying the value of x into 100 and putting it to the range. Sheet 1, pasting it right here. Let's see how this code gets executed. I've executed the code. Let's go back to the code. Do you see the values here? So it started from 10, 1, and it multiplied it by 100. And you can see that it will put it in range A, and then for the value of x for 1, it will be A1. When x becomes 2, it will be A2, so on. So one way to cruise through the loop. The second way. Now, this way, when I'm working in the sheet, in the worksheet, I never said in which sheet. So it will work in the current sheet. But now, in my second example, I'm being very specific. I'm declaring a range. Now, range is my type. R1 is my variable. Range is my type. Okay. So it's going to contain what? The range is going to contain the range. I say it has to be there. What is the range? A1 till B10. A1 till B10. Alright. A1 till B10. Where? In which sheet? In the active sheet. I'm saying in the active sheet, starting from A1 till B10. So that's going to be the range. And look at the different kind of loop. We have seen for loop. Now it is the for each loop. So in this loop, what am I doing? I'm saying I'm getting every cell from this range. And I'm saying that the cell's value is hello. Let's execute this code. Let's go back to the Excel sheet. We see A1 till B10. Every cell, I took every single cell and I put the value. Okay. Now for the techniques of execution. Let's say you're not getting the expected output. There's somewhere something is going wrong. So how do you check it? How do you check it? The main debugging technique. I told you already it's an IDE. Visual Basic. This is an IDE. The editor. Why it is an IDE? Because now you saw we can do the code here. That's one part. And you can do the debugging right here. And it gives you lot of tools to do the debugging. The main one that I want to share with you for the day is how to set the breakpoint. Now I'm going to set the breakpoint here. There are various ways. If you want a breakpoint on one particular line, you go to this part and you just click once, get the breakpoint. Or you go to the debug and you can say you want the breakpoint. Okay. Or F9 is the shortcut key to do the breakpoint. F9 is the shortcut key to do the breakpoint. So what's the point? You do the breakpoint and what is the matter? I mean, what's the difference? Now I'm going to execute the code. You see, the execution is not complete. It has come and it is halted in the place where I have said breakpoint. And it's waiting for my instruction. You see the yellow color highlighting, it means that it's waiting there. The execution is right there. How do you make it continue? How do you make it continue? In the debug, you have step into. You can use it. Or the shortcut key is right here. You can use F8. So I'm going to press F8. So it says the C1 is empty. I was going to take the value of C1. Now you see C1 is hello. It's putting hello there. Do you see it? Now let me stop it and show you how it executes step by step. Let's make it a smaller range. B2. And I'll delete the values here. Now let's see the execution. I'm going to hit F5. You see it's waiting for me to say continue. I'm going to press F8. Initially it is empty and after that it's also empty. Value is empty. Now it will contain hello. See? The first step. The next. So if I keep pressing F8, again the second hello. And then the next. So the third one. And then the fourth one. You can see the fourth one also appearing right here. So very easy. How do you do it? You can set breakpoints. And if you want to step-by-step execution, keep hitting F8. Now let's see how we can cruise through the rows of the range. I want to go row by row and check the value, and based on the value, how to work with the data. Here if you see, if you remember, we did named range, right? So I'm giving a named range called data. In that named range, I'm taking every single row. Earlier you saw that we took every single column. Now we are taking every single row. So I'm checking in that row the first cell. In that row the first cell. See, we might not be very clear as to which exactly the cell we want to edit. In the range, we need not exactly edit all the cells, right? You might want to edit only a few cells. But it might be very difficult for you to go with the cell, to find out the row and the column and do that particular way of editing the code. Now what the code I have written is, I'm going to write, let's first find a range here. I want to define a name. I'm going to define it data. Same. Let's get values here. So these are some quick values here. Let's see how the row gets edited. So this is my data from A1 till A10. So we're needing this. So from A1 till A10, this is going to be my data. I've defined the range. Now in this range, I'm selecting every row. but this row here is only one cell. You get a nice idea of what the row is rather than one single cell. Alright. So I'm saying getting every single row, and in that row, if the cell value is greater than 1000, then for the whole row, I'm saying the font should be bold. I'm saying for the row, font bold is equal to true, which means for the whole row, the font should become bold. It's very same as your conditional formatting. But your conditional formatting might not work with rows sometimes. And if you want to check multiple values in conditional formatting, you can use this. If you look, only for those values which have more than 1000, it has become bold. And if you see, the whole row has become bold. I'm going to unbold the whole thing. So just give different values here so that you can have a look. Okay, just have a look. Inside my range, outside my range. Now let's execute this. Go back to the code. You see, only in the range. You're able to see the difference. The third, this thing is not in my range. This thing is not in my range. If you want to counter check, this is my range. See it? The selection, this is my range. Okay. So in the range, you can say that, okay, based on a condition, you want to work something, you want to change color, whatever you want. There you go. Nice and easy. Okay. So I quickly want to summarize whatever we did for the day. We did record a macro, and we saw how to edit the macro. Okay. For that, okay. So these are some examples that generally people ask for in VBA session. So I worked these out. Are there any specific needs for you? And do you want me to work out anything? Generally, it's like converting to uppercase and finding the duplicates, creating charts from the data, generating pivot tables, sending the data to PowerPoint, mailing the data on a button's click or using a shortcut key, mailing the file as attachments. And also I thought we would work with little events. These are going to be the topics for tomorrow. So we're going to do events, automating the code, and functions. Create functions so that you can use it across all your Excels, and you can also share it with your colleagues. How to write your own functions and share it with your colleagues. And how to use forms, and what are the events that are available in forms. So those are the things we'll be seeing tomorrow. From tomorrow we'll be working on examples. I thought we would cover the basics today so that you can do the working and the formulas. I mean, the examples can be more easily understood tomorrow. Apart from the examples I showed, do you want me to work out any specific examples for your day-to-day working? So if you do not have any, then this is going to be the agenda of tomorrow. So we're going to work these examples, and we see how these examples work. And apart from this, I also have other things like how to create, how to link your command buttons with your, the macro, things like that, stuff like that. So, so that's what I thought we would see tomorrow. So today, what we have seen is how to create a macro and how to record it, how to play it again, how to associate it with a shortcut key, how to save the file as macro-enabled workbook. As you remember, it should be with extension XLSM. And then how to set the security level. So here it is in the developer tab, and how to activate this developer tab. It's not visible. If it is not visible in your Excel, so you have to go to the Excel options, or you will have to go for the advanced settings. So that's how you have to activate this developer tab. How to set the macro security for your Excel, and the extension of the file is macro enabled workbook. It's XLSM. And how to edit the code that is generated by the recorded macro. How to create your own macro. We saw about the message box. We saw about the input box. Message box is used to give send messages to the user. Input box is to get the input if you're not wanting it from the Excel workbook, and we saw how to do the how to select the how to work with different kind of statements, selection sequential statements, selection statements, and iteration statements. Different kind of sequential statements, different kind of selection statements are if statement, if else, and switch case. Iteration statements are do until loops, while loop, and then the for loop. In the for loop also we saw a different way of doing the steps. And then we move to the selection, how to select the cell using cells, range, using the name, and using application.goto. How to select cell from a different workbook, how to select cell from a different worksheet. So these are all the things we saw for the selection. And also we at the very end we saw how to select a range of cells using a range, and also we saw union and intersection. How to union different ranges, how to intersect different ranges, and then after selecting the range, how to loop through the ranges so that we want to take every cell. We saw two different ways. One is using a normal for loop, other one is a for each loop. You can either use a while, for, or a for each loop. And in the range, if it is you want to access every row, and how to access the row after you selected the row, how to access the cell from every single row. So this is what we saw for the day.